You don't construct a better life by sitting still and waiting for the right moment to arrive. You construct it by selecting better habits, one deliberate day at a time. And that process begins right now. Most people navigate their days completely on autopilot. They wake already exhausted. They reach for their phones before they even draw their first conscious breath. They bounce endlessly from one distraction to the next, quietly wondering why their minds feel scattered, foggy, and impossible to direct. They feel trapped, not because they lack raw potential, but because their habits keep dragging them backward into the same cycles, the same mental loops, the same emotional reactions, the same diminishing identity. If your mindset feels heavy and immovable, it is not because something is fundamentally broken inside you. It is because your daily behaviors are literally programming your brain to remain exactly where you currently stand. Every habit you repeat sends a signal. Every routine you follow transmits a message to your nervous system. Every decision you make is a vote cast for the person you are in the process of becoming. That is precisely why the next stretch of time you dedicate to this training matters so profoundly. Not through magic, not through luck, not through some dramatic overnight transformation, but through genuine mastery of the daily choices that quietly shape everything about your existence. The truth is beautifully simple. Your life changes the moment your habits change. Not when you finally feel motivated enough. Not when fortune smiles in your direction. Not when circumstances align perfectly. But when your daily choices begin genuinely matching the future you claim to want. If you have been feeling mentally exhausted, scattered, overwhelmed, or easily discouraged, you are not damaged. You are simply operating mental programs that no longer serve your growth. Old patterns, outdated reactions, inherited beliefs. But the remarkable thing about the human brain is this. It is rewritable. It is deeply adaptable. It is waiting for new instructions. Your habits are those very instructions. Every time you choose to move your body rather than scroll endlessly, you rewrite a neural pathway. Every time you elect to complete something rather than abandoning it midway, you reinforce self-trust at a fundamental level. Every time you opt for silence over chaos, you strengthen clarity. Every time you select discomfort over avoidance, you build resilience that nobody can strip from you. And every time you choose even a small act of deliberate growth, your mind expands its capacity to think, act, and respond to the world in a fundamentally different way. This audio is not entertainment. It is structured training. It is repetition with purpose. And structure is precisely what transforms a human being. Because motivation fades, hype disappears, and feelings fluctuate endlessly. But habits? Habits carve your identity at the deepest possible level. If you give Elite Success audiobooks the next 90 minutes of your genuine attention, you will receive 10 transformative habits that can rewire your mindset from the inside out. 10 habits that cut through mental noise like a blade. 10 habits that rebuild focus, restore discipline, lift your energy, and permanently reset the way you perceive yourself and what you are capable of achieving. Each habit is practical, grounded, and immediately actionable. Not abstract theory, not philosophical concepts designed to sound impressive. Just daily practices that recondition your brain to think stronger, feel lighter, and advance through life with genuine confidence. Before we enter the first habit, picture something clearly in your mind. Imagine your future self exactly 1 year from today. Not the idealized, flawless version everyone fantasizes about. Just the version of you who stayed consistent. The you who did not abandon the process on day 3. The you who kept showing up even when progress was invisible, even when it was painfully slow, even when nobody around you noticed or acknowledged the effort. What would that version of you look like? How would they think? How would they carry themselves through difficulty? How would they respond when stress, distraction, fear, or self-doubt appeared? Because the gap between who you currently are and who you are genuinely capable of becoming is constructed entirely from habits. Brick by brick, day by day, decision by decision. Most people never truly change because they catastrophically underestimate the compounding force of small actions. They believe profound transformation demands enormous effort, massive sacrifice, and dramatic visible change happening immediately. But reality operates in the complete opposite direction. Your brain transforms through repetition, through consistency, through the small things you practice every day, even when they feel nearly insignificant in the moment. 1 glass of water will not revolutionize your health, but a daily hydration practice rewires your entire physiological system. 1 focused morning will not transform your mind, but a daily intention ritual rewires your capacity to concentrate. 1 walk will not permanently shift your energy, but moving your body every day rewires your emotional baseline. 1 minute of self-reflection will not create lasting clarity, but writing each evening rewires your self-awareness at a profound depth. This is how your mindset genuinely rewires itself. Slowly, steadily, silently, beneath the visible surface where results have not yet appeared. The roots grow long before the branches become visible above ground. The foundation strengthens long before results show themselves. And if you can truly accept that truth, not fight it, not rush it, not resent the pace, you can alter absolutely anything about your life. In this training, you will not be asked to accomplish impossible things. You will not be asked to perform perfectly or to maintain flawless discipline. You will not be asked to overhaul your entire existence overnight. But you will be asked to choose deliberately, to commit fully, to show up consistently, and to follow through even when it feels deeply inconvenient. We will move through 10 habits, each selected because it trains a distinct dimension of your mindset. Focus, discipline, self-trust, energy, clarity, resilience, awareness, learning, boundaries, consistency. Each habit represents a small shift with an enormous psychological return. Each one can be integrated into your existing day in minutes, and each one can produce a noticeable difference in how you think, how you feel, and how you engage with everything around you. This is the blueprint for a stronger mind, a sharper mind, a calmer mind, a mind that works with you rather than against you. As you listen, do not merely absorb words passively. Visualize yourself practicing each habit. Imagine how your days would feel with these anchors firmly in place. Imagine your confidence expanding as your discipline deepens. Imagine your stress contracting as your clarity grows. Imagine your mindset rewiring itself into something steadier, cleaner, and far more powerful than you have previously experienced. Because the truth is unchanging, your mindset is not fixed. Your patterns are not permanent. Your story is not locked. It can all be rewritten, and it begins with your habits. So take a breath, sit upright, listen with full intention, and prepare yourself. Your new mindset begins now. Most people begin their mornings exactly the way they ended their previous night: rushed, distracted, reactive, and thoroughly depleted before the day has even started. They wake up already feeling behind, already anxious, already mentally cluttered. Their minds do not rise with purpose. They rise directly into chaos, and that chaos immediately becomes the operating system for every hour that follows. A morning without intention creates a mind without direction. A morning without structure generates a mind without clarity. A morning without ownership produces a mind that spends the entire day catching up rather than genuinely leading. This is the truth you must understand if you want to rewire your mindset. Your morning is the first vote you cast for who you are becoming. The moment you open your eyes, you are teaching your mind what kind of day to expect. You are transmitting signals, signals of urgency or signals of calm, signals of distraction or signals of focused clarity, signals of stagnation or signals of deliberate growth. If you begin your day unconsciously, you will live unconsciously. If you begin your day with intention, everything that follows carries that intentional energy with it. This is not about possessing the perfect morning routine. This is not about waking at 4 a.m. or following some elaborate checklist discovered on a productivity blog. This is about something far more powerful and far more sustainable. Designing the first moments of your day so your brain recognizes with certainty that you are in command. Most people surrender the day before it even properly begins. They reach for their phone before drawing a single conscious breath. They scroll through notifications before sitting upright. They absorb messages before checking in with themselves. Their minds get hijacked immediately by comparison, urgency, noise, and artificial stress. Without realizing what is happening, they have already given their power away before breakfast. This is the genuine pain. A reactive morning creates a reactive mind. A reactive mind generates reactive choices. And reactive choices keep you anchored in identical emotional patterns for years. You know this pattern intimately. You have lived it. You have felt it. Those mornings where you wake late, grab your phone, rush through everything, skip any form of intention, and then wonder why your mind feels cloudy, irritable, or unstable before noon. You did nothing wrong. Your brain simply followed the first pattern you provided it. And if you want a genuinely different life, you must provide it a different pattern from the very first moment of waking. Here is the core truth of this first habit. Your mornings train your mind for everything that follows. You establish your priorities. You determine your emotional tone. You set your mental clarity and your level of discipline. Not through thinking about it, not through hoping for it, but through deliberate action. When you begin your morning with intention, you signal clearly to your brain, we choose focus today. We choose clarity today. We choose growth and control today. So what does an intentional morning actually look like in practice? Not perfection, not discipline imposed through guilt or self-criticism, not a ritual impossible to sustain beyond a week. A simple, repeatable system that takes only minutes but rewires your mindset for the entire day ahead. Before anything else, breathe and notice. Do not rush. Do not reach for anything. Do not react to anything. Let your mind come fully online with presence before demanding anything of it. Even 5 quiet, deliberate breaths are sufficient. You are not your notifications. You are not your obligations. You are not your accumulated stress. You are a mind consciously choosing its very first move of the day. This is the irreplaceable foundation upon which everything else rests. Then hydrate and activate the body. Your brain operates on hydration. Most people experience morning anxiety simply because their brain is dehydrated and already overstimulated by incoming digital information. 1 glass of water, 1 deliberate stretch, 1 conscious exhale. This signals to your nervous system that the day begins with care rather than crisis. Next, set 1 clear intention for the day. Not 10 intentions, not 5, 1. Write it down, speak it aloud, hold it in your awareness with clarity. This becomes your mental anchor. Perhaps your intention is focus. Perhaps it is patience, or discipline, or calm, or steady progress. Choose one and allow that single intention to serve as the compass, guiding your decisions and your energy for the next 24 hours. Your brain performs at its highest when it knows precisely what matters most. This single practice alone can transform your entire relationship with each day you live. Protect your attention during the first 20 minutes of waking. Your phone is not the enemy, but your absence of boundaries absolutely is. If you permit the external world to enter before your mind has properly awakened, you surrender ownership of your day immediately. Give yourself 20 minutes of genuine peace. No social media, no inbox, no comparison to others, no rushing into chaos. This is your time and your deliberate reset. Protect it as though your mindset depends on it, because it genuinely does. Finally, move your body, even for a single minute. You do not need a full workout, gym access, or a dedicated hour. You need movement. Movement wakes the brain. Movement sharpens focus. Movement stabilizes mood and signals readiness to engage. This can be stretching, walking, breathing deeply, or stepping outside into fresh air. Just move. Your mind reliably follows where your body leads. This habit rewires your mindset because it interrupts your old patterns and shifts your identity from passive to actively chosen. You stop waking up to the world's demands. You start waking up to yourself. Instead of reacting, you begin choosing. Instead of scrambling, you begin leading. Instead of drifting, you begin deciding deliberately. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you begin feeling grounded. New neural pathways form through consistent, meaningful micro-actions. And when you miss a day, you simply begin again without self-judgment. Your goal is not perfection. Your goal is to rewire your brain, and your brain rewires through repetition, not through flawless performance. When you start your mornings with intention, you become someone who directs their day rather than being dragged through it. You become someone who values clarity over chaos. You become someone who acts rather than merely reacts. Discipline is the foundation of consistency. Consistency is the foundation of identity. And identity is the foundation of genuine, lasting transformation. Begin with intention. Say it softly. Say it clearly. Say it every morning until your mind accepts it as absolute truth. Before continuing, something powerful happens in this community when people genuinely claim their morning with real intention. They leave the number 111 in the comments below. 1 represents a new beginning. 3 ones together represent aligned thought, aligned word, and aligned action moving in the same direction. If you felt something real shift in you just now, drop 111 below. Let this community witness the moment you chose to lead your own morning. Focus is the currency of your existence. Every dream you pursue, every habit you build, every dimension of your mindset you are working to rewire, all of it depends entirely on your capacity to direct your attention with intention. Without focus, even the most powerful desires collapse. Without focus, even the most carefully crafted plans dissolve into nothing. Without focus, your mind becomes a battlefield where every notification, every distraction, every passing thought, and every emotional craving compete aggressively for dominance. Most people do not lose because they lack ability or intelligence. They lose because they cannot sustain focused attention long enough to see meaningful results. You can carry ambition. You can possess genuine talent. You can feel motivated. You can hold good intentions. But if you cannot direct your attention deliberately and consistently, none of those assets will produce the results you are capable of. Attention is what converts raw potential into actual progress. This is precisely why protecting your focus is among the most transformative habits for rewiring your mindset permanently. Your attention is being stolen continuously, every hour, every minute, throughout each day and night. The world has never been more deliberately engineered to capture your consciousness. Applications, messages, updates, advertisements, alerts, digital noise, manufactured urgency, everything is architecturally designed to pull at your mind and hold it captive. You open your phone for just 1 second, and 30 minutes vanish without trace. You check a message to reply briefly, and suddenly your mind is fragmented across 5 competing directions simultaneously. You scroll for what feels like a brief break, and your entire afternoon feels heavy, unproductive, and deeply scattered. A distracted mind becomes a defeated mind, and a defeated mind cannot build a strong, focused, resilient life regardless of how much potential it contains. The truth most people consistently overlook is this: focus is not something you discover. It is something you actively protect. You do not stumble into focused concentration by accident. You create deliberate space for it. You guard it vigilantly. You engineer your environment to support it. You train your mind to return to it repeatedly after every inevitable interruption. Focus is not a personality trait you either have or lack entirely. Focus is a boundary. And if you genuinely want to rewire your mindset, you must build a life where your attention is not constantly under assault from every direction. Think about your typical days. Think about how frequently your mind gets pulled away from what you actually intend to accomplish. Think about how many minutes dissolve to checking, switching between tasks, bouncing between apps, refreshing, scrolling, responding, and reacting to things that ultimately matter very little. Each individual distraction may feel harmless in isolation, but collectively they carry an enormous and invisible price tag. Every distraction shatters your mental rhythm, and your brain requires significantly more recovery time than you typically appreciate. This is why you feel exhausted even when you have not accomplished much. This is why your thoughts feel foggy even after adequate rest. This is why you feel perpetually behind even when you started your day early with good intentions. Your brain is not broken. You are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. You are simply overexposed to noise and underprotected from its constant demands. So how do you reclaim your focus and make it work for you again? By constructing a simple system that strips distractions of their power and makes your concentrated attention powerful once more. Eliminate all non-essential notifications immediately. You likely do not fully appreciate how frequently your device is seizing your attention throughout each day. Alerts, vibrations, pop-ups, pings, each one slices your focus, even when you do not consciously respond to it. Your brain is wired to notice novelty. Every ping registers as potentially urgent. Every flash feels significant. Every vibration presents itself as a demand requiring immediate response. But the overwhelming majority of these notifications represent nothing more than digital noise engineered to condition your brain toward reactivity rather than intention. Turn them off. All of them except what genuinely matters. Your mind deserves sustained, uninterrupted quiet. Create one protected daily focus block. Just one. Not an entire day or a complicated schedule restructure. A single protected block where you work without interruption. 25 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever your current capacity supports. A block where you step completely into the task, into the present moment, into genuine flow. This is not fundamentally about productivity optimization. This is about identity construction. You are proving to your brain that you can remain with one thing, complete it, and follow through to the end. Focus is a muscle, and this is the specific way you develop it through consistent practice. Simplify your physical environment before attempting to quiet your mental space. You genuinely cannot concentrate effectively inside a cluttered environment. Your brain interprets visual disorder as cognitive burden. Every unnecessary object in your visual field competes for your attention at a subconscious level. Take 1 minute, just 60 seconds, to clear your surface, remove what is not needed, and create the conditions for mental clarity. A clean environment is not merely an aesthetic preference. It is a sophisticated psychological strategy that your mind responds to immediately. Protect your mornings as your most valuable hours for concentrated work. Your sharpest focus lives in the morning before the world has had an opportunity to distract you, before your mental energy becomes depleted, before competing demands begin pulling you in 10 directions simultaneously. Do not offer your freshest thinking to your phone. Do not sacrifice your morning clarity to noise and comparison. Give your first energy to yourself, to your genuine growth, to your most important goals. Practice the discipline of monotasking with genuine commitment. Your brain is simply not designed for multitasking regardless of what you might believe about your abilities. Every time you switch between tasks, you hemorrhage mental energy and clarity. Do one thing. Finish one thing. Respect one thing fully through to completion. Your work will improve measurably. Your thinking will become clearer and more precise. Your stress will reduce significantly. Your discipline will strengthen with each practice. Doing one thing completely and thoroughly is exponentially more powerful than doing 5 things superficially. When you protect your focus, you strengthen your discipline. When you strengthen your discipline, you reinforce your identity. When you reinforce your identity, you genuinely transform your mindset from the inside out. Every time you choose to focus deliberately, you teach your brain how to remain with discomfort, how to resist impulse, how to ignore noise, and how to trust your own sense of direction. You become calmer, clearer, more resilient, less reactive. You feel genuinely capable once again of achieving what you set out to do. Guard your focus. Simple, strong, non-negotiable. Say it again. Guard your focus. Guard your mind. Guard your path forward. There is a part of your mind that only grows when you deliberately choose discomfort. A part that stays completely dormant when life is too easy, too predictable, too convenient, and unchallenging. A part that is directly responsible for resilience, discipline, genuine confidence, mental toughness, strength of identity, and emotional stability under pressure. Most people never encounter that part of themselves, not because they lack the underlying strength, but because they consistently avoid the very discomfort that would reveal it to them. This is precisely why the habit of doing one challenging thing daily is among the most transformative practices you can build into your life. It is not about manufacturing suffering. It is not about forcing pain into your days or punishing yourself. It is about deliberately training your nervous system to remain steady and composed when things become uncomfortable. Because discomfort is the doorway to every meaningful upgrade your life will ever experience. When you avoid discomfort consistently, you reinforce a damaging belief that you are fragile and incapable. When you face discomfort deliberately, you reinforce an entirely different belief that you are capable of far more than you previously imagined. This is the precise difference between a mindset that shatters easily and a mindset that bends, adapts, and grows stronger with every challenge it encounters. Before we build this habit, we must acknowledge the real pain, the reality most people live with but rarely openly admit. Most people design their entire lives around comfort and its preservation. They avoid the discomfort of cold. They avoid difficult conversations that need to happen. They avoid physical effort that would build them. They avoid challenges, risks, and opportunities that feel remotely intimidating. They avoid tasks that demand genuine mental effort. They avoid anything that does not deliver an immediate, pleasant, or effortless reward. And every single time they choose avoidance, their brain learns a damaging lesson. I cannot handle this. Let us escape. Over time, this becomes completely automatic. Avoidance transforms into their dominant identity. Comfort becomes their invisible prison, and their world quietly shrinks, becoming smaller, weaker, and more fragile with each passing month. But here is the unchanging truth. Comfort destroys growth. Not because comfort itself is wrong or evil, but because it trains your mind to associate ease with safety and any form of effort with danger. You rewire your mindset by deliberately reversing that deep association. When you purposely do something uncomfortable, something slightly hard, something that stretches you beyond yesterday's limits, you send a powerful message directly to your brain. I can handle more than I previously believed. I am not here to hide from challenge. I can walk toward discomfort rather than away from it. That message is the precise beginning of genuine mental strength. Doing one challenging thing daily does not mean attempting extreme feats or climbing mountains every morning. It means choosing one small thing that stretches you just a fraction beyond yesterday's comfort zone. Something that builds tolerance. Something that constructs discipline. Something that develops the mental stability to remain steady when life gets difficult. Identify one hard thing in your day. A challenging thing does not need to be dramatic or overwhelming. It is simply something that grows you. It can be physical, emotional, mental, or practical in nature. Taking a cold shower for 30 seconds. walking when you do not feel remotely like it, beginning a task you have been actively avoiding for days, completing something you have procrastinated about for weeks, having a difficult conversation you keep indefinitely postponing, waking without hitting the snooze button, turning your phone off for 30 deliberate minutes, saying no when your habitual response has always been yes, reading a book instead of mindlessly scrolling, sitting in genuine silence for 5 minutes rather than escaping into entertainment and noise. The purpose is not suffering. The purpose is deliberate stretching of your discomfort threshold. Your tolerance for discomfort rises measurably when you choose challenges consciously rather than being ambushed by them unexpectedly. Whenever possible, complete the hard thing first in your day. When you delay the difficult task, your anxiety grows, your stress multiplies, your resistance intensifies, your excuses proliferate, and your mind becomes progressively heavier throughout the day. But when you face the challenging thing early, everything else becomes lighter by comparison. Your brain recognizes the pattern emerging. We did something hard. We did not collapse. We did not run. We can clearly handle more than we thought we could. This is precisely how resilience is built, through repetition and consistent practice, not through luck or natural talent. Stay with the discomfort rather than fleeing from it. When things become uncomfortable, your brain will activate old programs: quit, run, hide, delay, distract, avoid at all costs. But discomfort is not genuine danger. Discomfort is data, and if you stay with it for even a few seconds, just a handful of seconds, you begin to observe that nothing catastrophic occurs. Your heart rate increases, your breath shifts, your mind resists, but you move through it. And in that moment, you are no longer the person who used to escape difficulty automatically. You are becoming someone new, someone stronger, clearer, calmer, and more disciplined than before. Do not flee from the feeling. Observe it with curiosity. Let it rise, let it reach its peak, then let it pass through you. Discomfort is always temporary. Growth is permanent. After completing the difficult thing, acknowledge the micro-victory internally, not with indulgence or elaborate reward, but with genuine recognition. I did something challenging today. I followed through on my own commitment. I kept my word to myself. This acknowledgement releases dopamine in a meaningful way, not from distraction or entertainment, but from discipline and self-trust. You want your brain to associate challenge with deep satisfaction rather than threat and stress. When discipline genuinely feels rewarding, your identity shifts permanently. You begin to perceive yourself as someone who overcomes rather than avoids, and that identity is exponentially more powerful than any temporary motivation. Track it simply. A brief journal entry, a notes app, a single line written each day. The challenging thing I chose today. Tracking builds momentum. Momentum builds consistency. Consistency builds identity. This is not about filling checkboxes. It is about demonstrating to your brain every single day that you are becoming someone fundamentally different. Every challenging thing you do expands your discomfort tolerance, shrinks your fear response, makes obstacles appear smaller and more surmountable, builds psychological stability, strengthens your sense of personal control, trains your mind to push through emotional resistance, and helps you adapt rather than collapse under pressure. You stop perceiving challenges as threats. You begin seeing them as precise opportunities for growth. You stop running from effort. You begin walking deliberately toward it. This is how genuine strength of character is forged. This is how a mindset rewires itself from fragile to unbreakable. You become someone who does not fracture at the first sign of pressure, someone who stands steady when others around you shrink back, someone who does not fear challenge because challenge has become familiar territory, someone who does not negotiate with their own excuses, someone who acts with intention when others hesitate. Your resilience becomes your identity. Your discipline becomes your natural baseline. Your courage becomes your normal operating mode. Discomfort is your training ground. Say it when you hesitate. Say it when you want to quit. Say it when you need strength. Every repetition makes you more capable than you were before. There is a quiet, understated power that only emerges when you finish what you genuinely start. A power that does not announce itself loudly, does not demand attention, does not seek recognition, but reshapes your entire identity from the deepest level outward. Because finishing is not fundamentally about the task itself. Finishing is about the person you become when you refuse to abandon your commitments to yourself. Most people exist in a world of half-completed projects, half-read books, half-organized spaces, half-written plans, half-hearted efforts, and half-finished dreams. They begin with genuine excitement and enthusiasm, but they never follow through to completion. They start with motivation, but never stay long enough to develop real discipline. They begin with sincere desire, but never complete the process long enough to see the results that were waiting just beyond their quitting point. And over time, they train their brains to accept unfinished things as perfectly normal and acceptable. This is the real damage. Every time you quit something small, you reinforce the belief that you cannot be trusted with something genuinely significant. You weaken your self-image. You weaken your discipline. You weaken your momentum and your confidence simultaneously. Because confidence is not born from achievement. Confidence is born from completion. When you finish something, you prove a powerful truth to yourself. I keep my word. I follow through. I can rely on myself when it matters. I do not stop when it becomes boring or difficult. This is the identity shift most people never experience because they quit too soon, too often, and too easily. But you are here because you are actively rewiring your mindset. And rewiring requires completion. Rewiring requires the discipline to push something across the finish line. Not perfectly, not elegantly, but intentionally and with full commitment. Starting feels genuinely good. Finishing feels uncomfortable. Starting delivers excitement. Starting releases dopamine. Starting feels novel and full of possibility. Starting is the fantasy. Finishing is different in every way. Finishing is slow. Finishing is repetitive. Finishing is unglamorous and often unrecognized. Finishing is disciplined effort sustained past the point where motivation has completely evaporated. Finishing requires tolerance for discomfort that most people simply have not developed. This is why most people abandon their goals. They have only learned how to enjoy beginnings, not how to commit to endings with equal dedication. But if you want to rewire your mindset permanently, you must change your relationship with completion. Because finishing is not natural talent. It is trained capacity. And the more deliberately you train it, the more unstoppable you genuinely become. Choose one unfinished task and complete it today. Not 10, not 5, just 1. You already know which one is weighing on you. The email you have not sent. The message you have not replied to. The space you have not organized. The work project you left hanging. The book you abandoned midway through. The small task that quietly drains your mental energy every time it crosses your mind. Completing one unfinished thing does not merely remove surface clutter. It removes cognitive weight. It frees precious mental space. It provides your brain with the experience of closure. It builds the identity of someone who completes what they begin. Today, you finish one thing. Tomorrow, you finish another. Slowly and inevitably, your life becomes a series of completions rather than a graveyard of abandoned attempts. Create a completion list rather than an endless to-do list. To-do lists expand without limit and create constant pressure. Completion lists create forward momentum. A completion list has 3 simple rules. Choose only tasks you will fully complete today. Add nothing additional once you have begun. And every item must be finished before the day ends. This is not about doing more volume. It is about doing what genuinely matters, completely and with full commitment. Break each task into its smallest possible executable action. Finishing becomes dramatically easier when the task becomes smaller and more concrete. You do not finish an entire project. You complete the first 5 focused minutes of it. You do not organize the whole room. You organize the desk surface. You do not read an entire book. You read 2 pages. You do not complete a habit entirely. You take the first concrete step. Small actions create large momentum. Small wins compound into genuine confidence. Small steps build a strong and reliable identity. Your brain does not need the entire staircase visible before it. It only needs the very next step to be clear. Remove your escape routes systematically. The reason most people quit is not lack of ability or intelligence. It is the abundance of readily available distractions that offer comfortable emotional escape precisely when effort is required. You encounter boredom and reach for your phone. You get stuck and scroll aimlessly. You feel fatigue and switch tasks impulsively. You feel discomfort and avoid instinctively. Finishing requires closing those exits deliberately. One tab, one task, one direction of focus. When you limit your available options, your commitment to the current one becomes substantially stronger. When you reduce accessible distractions, your clarity sharpens significantly. Stop negotiating with your own mind about continuing. Your mind will always offer a compelling way out. That is enough for today. You can always finish it tomorrow. This does not really matter that much. You are too tired to continue effectively. You have already done enough. But discipline genuinely begins the moment negotiation ends. Finishing requires one simple internal command. We are not finished yet. Not with anger, not with self-pressure, not with harsh self-criticism. Just a calm, steady, clear decision to continue. Every completion sends a direct message to your brain. I am the kind of person who follows through completely. Every time you finish something, you strengthen the neural circuits responsible for discipline, focus, resilience, and self-trust. Your mind becomes wired for closure rather than drift. Decisions become cleaner. Commitments feel lighter and more natural. Tasks feel more manageable and less threatening. You stop feeling overwhelmed by the size of things. You stop procrastinating as a default response. You stop doubting your own capacity. Finishing teaches your brain that you are capable of far more than your fear suggested. Not through motivation or hype, but through accumulated evidence. Momentum grows from completion. Confidence grows from completion. Identity grows from completion. And identity is what rewires mindset at the deepest possible level. When your brain genuinely believes you keep your promises to yourself, your entire life begins to shift in ways you could not previously predict. You become someone reliable to themselves, someone who respects their time and their commitments equally, someone who does not vanish halfway through what matters. Finishing becomes your signature. Completion becomes your natural operating mode. Follow-through becomes the unshakable foundation everything else rests upon. Finish what you start. Say it early, say it often, say it when you hesitate, say it when you want to quit. Say it until your actions consistently match your identity. Before you move into the next section of this training from Elite Success Audiobooks, this community has a practice that reflects the power of completion. Drop the number 444 in the comments below if this habit on finishing shifted something real inside you. In numerology and quantum awareness, 444 represents structure, completion, and the foundation upon which everything lasting is built. When you leave 444, you are declaring to this community that you are choosing to be a finisher. Let others witness that declaration. Your mind transforms into whatever you consistently feed it. Your identity becomes what you regularly practice. Your life becomes what you choose to build. And this is precisely why the habit of consuming less and creating more is one of the most powerful levers available for rewiring your mindset permanently. Because your brain is not shaped merely by what you think, it is profoundly shaped by what you do, what you express, and what you actively produce in the world. Most people spend the majority of their lives consuming. They consume information, entertainment, other people's opinions, noise, distractions, trends, updates, stories, drama, and controversy. They consume far more than their mind can effectively process, and far more than their actual lives can benefit from. And slowly, without ever consciously noticing the transition, they slip into a state of permanent mental overload. Information becomes internal clutter. Inspiration curdles into comparison. Entertainment becomes a form of escape that never truly satisfies. Consumption transforms into a subtle addiction that is difficult to recognize because it is socially normalized and universally encouraged. And the most damaging consequence: the more people consume, the less they create. The less they express, the less they build. The less they genuinely grow. This is the real cost that never appears on anyone's balance sheet. You cannot think clearly when you are drowning your mind in constant noise. You cannot find genuine direction when you bury yourself under endless incoming input. You cannot feel confident when you are constantly comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel. You cannot build discipline when your mind is simultaneously overstimulated and completely underutilized. People consume because consuming requires nothing whatsoever from them. No genuine effort, no real courage, no meaningful risk. You scroll, you watch, you read, you comment, you drift. You disappear into other people's creativity rather than engaging with your own. But here is the truth you must genuinely face if you want to rewire your mindset. Creation rewires your brain in ways consumption simply never can. Consumption numbs it gradually. When you create even something tiny and imperfect, you activate energy, focus, intention, identity, confidence, and clarity simultaneously. When you create, you step into a life where you are the producer rather than the perpetual spectator. When you create, you use your mind to generate genuine value rather than merely absorbing other people's noise. You do not need to be an artist to create. You do not need to be a professional writer, filmmaker, musician, designer, or inventor. Creation simply means producing something that moves your life forward rather than allowing your life to fade quietly into someone else's content feed. Creating can be writing one honest paragraph, capturing one clear idea, building one deliberate step of a project, solving one real problem, improving one specific skill, organizing one space, planning one goal with clarity, learning one technique, making something slightly better than it was yesterday. Creation is forward motion. Consumption is pause. And progress, even the smallest imaginable progress, rewires your brain faster than any amount of passive information absorption ever will. Establish a daily consumption limit with genuine intention. Do not attempt to eliminate consumption entirely. That is neither realistic nor necessary. You still need inspiration. You still need relevant information. You still need some entertainment as genuine rest. But you do not need hours of it every day. You do not require constant stimulation to function. You do not need an unending stream of content overwhelming your nervous system. Give yourself a clear and honest limit. 30 minutes of intentional, purposeful consumption, not mindless autopilot, not algorithm-driven drifting through content. Intentional input only that genuinely serves your growth. Replace one consumption block each day with one creation block. If you typically scroll for 20 minutes, redirect those 20 minutes into creating something. If you watch content for an hour, redirect that hour into building something that matters to your actual life. Creation does not need to be impressive. It does not need to be polished or ready to share publicly. It simply needs to be genuinely yours. Here is the shift that changes everything. Every time you catch yourself consuming mindlessly, ask one simple question. What can I build instead right now? Write something. Construct something. Organize something. Plan something with detail. Practice something deliberately. Express something you have been holding internally. Keep your creations small, simple, and completely sustainable. Most people avoid creating because they place unrealistic expectations on themselves before they even begin. They believe creation must be immediately meaningful, revolutionary, perfect in execution, or impressive to others. That pressure alone kills action before it starts. Your creations can and should be tiny at first. A single sentence in a journal, a rough sketch of an idea, a short voice note capturing a thought, a simple solution to a small problem, a cleaned and organized drawer, a micro step of a larger project moved forward. One insight captured before it disappears. Small creation, consistently practiced, builds a large and powerful identity over time. Reduce digital noise and increase genuine, real-world engagement. Most consumption is digital. Most distraction lives inside a screen. Most comparison happens through an app. Most emotional exhaustion originates from digital overload of one kind or another. But creation is frequently physical and tangible. A planned day, a handwritten idea, a cleared and organized space, a conversation that expands your understanding, a project that moves one deliberate step closer to completion. You rewire your brain powerfully when you engage with your actual life rather than escaping into a digital version of someone else's existence. Creation is an active process. Consumption is passive. And your brain changes far more profoundly when you actively produce than when you observe others producing. Creating shifts you into forward motion. It strengthens neural pathways responsible for discipline and sustained effort. It builds cognitive confidence through repeated evidence of your own capability. It reduces anxiety by providing your mind with a clear direction to move toward. It reduces comparison by anchoring your attention in your own measurable progress. It creates genuine pride, momentum, clarity, and purpose that consumption can never replicate. You become someone who produces rather than merely drifts. Someone who builds rather than passively watches. Someone who contributes rather than hides. Someone who creates clarity rather than seeking temporary escape. Someone who uses their mind with genuine intention rather than surrendering it to passive consumption. Someone who shapes their world rather than consuming someone else's version of it. Build, do not browse. Say it when you reach for your phone out of habit. Say it when distraction calls. Say it when you need momentum but cannot find motivation. Build, do not browse. One deliberate action at a time. Your body is not separate from your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, your focus, your discipline, your clarity, or your capacity to sustain effort. They are all deeply and inseparably connected to the state of your physical energy at any given moment. You cannot build a powerful mindset while neglecting your body. You cannot generate mental clarity when your nervous system is chronically stagnant. You cannot expect emotional stability when your physiology is consistently depleted. Movement is not merely exercise for physical fitness. Movement is mental rewiring. Every time you move your body deliberately, you transmit a powerful signal to your brain. We are alive. We are capable. We are in motion. We choose growth over stagnation. Movement awakens the mind. Movement sharpens concentration. Movement stabilizes your emotional state. Movement strengthens discipline. Movement builds momentum that extends far beyond the physical act itself. And yet, most people treat movement as entirely optional. Something to be attempted only when motivation spontaneously appears, when the perfect time materializes, when energy happens to be available, when a comprehensive routine has been perfectly designed. And because they perpetually wait for all those conditions, they never consistently move. And because they never consistently move, their mind gradually loses its sharpness, its natural clarity, and its fundamental confidence. Most people live inside a body that feels persistently heavy, tired, tense, tight, sluggish, or unfocused in ways they have simply accepted as their normal state. They wake up groggy and move directly to sitting. They sit for long hours surrounded by stimulation, but completely deprived of natural physical energy. Their mind wants to perform, but their body is not supporting that performance. Their brain wants clarity, but their physiology creates the fog that prevents it. Their emotions want balance, but their nervous system lacks the activation to provide it. When your body does not move, your mind cannot move effectively either. You think slower. You react with less patience. You get irritated more easily by small things. You lack the emotional tolerance required for difficult situations. You feel overwhelmed by challenges that would otherwise feel manageable. You get trapped in loops of circular overthinking that produce no resolution. You lose the sense of aliveness and engagement that makes your life feel worthwhile. Energy is not something you passively wait to receive. Energy is something you actively create through movement. You do not need to push your body to extreme limits. You do not need lengthy workouts or heavy training regimens. You do not require gym access, specialized equipment, or an athletic background. You only need consistent movement, daily, intentional, deliberate movement. Because when your body moves, your brain fires. When your heart rate rises, your mind activates. When your muscles engage, your thoughts sharpen. When your circulation increases, your emotional landscape stabilizes. This is not motivation. This is the unchanging reality of human biology working as it was designed. Start with a 5-minute rule that makes failure nearly impossible. Most people fail at establishing movement practices because they set unrealistic expectations from the very beginning. They attempt to start too big, too fast, too intensely, and then quit when the effort exceeds their current capacity. The key is not intensity. The key is repetition. Make it nearly impossible to justify skipping. 5 minutes. That is the entire commitment. Walk for 5 minutes. Stretch for 5 minutes. Move your body in any simple way for 5 deliberate minutes. Consistency before intensity. Identity before achievement. These 5 minutes are not fundamentally about physical fitness. They are about rewiring your brain to genuinely expect daily movement rather than resistance and avoidance. Choose a form of movement that feels natural to your actual life, your personality, your environment, and your current level of physical conditioning. Do not copy routines that do not fit your reality. A brisk walk in your neighborhood, light stretching and mobility work, dancing in your own space, body weight movements requiring no equipment, simple yoga flows, climbing stairs with intention, morning activation sequences that take 3 minutes, short posture resets distributed throughout your day. The best movement practice is the one you can genuinely sustain every single day, not the one that looks impressive for 1 week before becoming another abandoned attempt. Move early in your day to establish your mental tone for everything that follows. Your morning is the most powerful moment for physical movement, not because morning exercise burns more calories, but because it primes your brain for the entire day ahead. Movement in the morning wakes your nervous system from its resting state. It clears mental fog that would otherwise persist for hours. It boosts your cognitive performance on every task that follows. It reduces your reactivity to stress throughout the day. It improves your emotional tolerance for difficulty. It sharpens your focus and strengthens your decision-making capacity. It does not need to be lengthy or intense. 30 seconds of intentional stretching, 5 deep, deliberate breaths, shoulder rotations, a quick walk around the block. Anything that physically wakes your body. When you move early, your thoughts follow that energy. Your mind becomes lighter and more capable. Your attitude toward the day becomes fundamentally stronger. Interrupt long periods of stillness with micro-movements distributed throughout your day. Sitting for extended hours may be your unavoidable reality, but it is not harmless to your mental functioning. Long periods of physical stillness drain your energy gradually, tighten your muscles, lower your mood, reduce your cognitive clarity, and disrupt your body's natural rhythms. Every hour, stand deliberately. Stretch. Rotate your neck slowly. Roll your shoulders back. Open your chest. Take several steps. Reset your posture with intention. These micro movements are small in isolation, but powerful in cumulative effect. They maintain your physical alertness and your mental engagement. They prevent the mental fatigue that makes everything feel harder than it actually is. Use movement deliberately to reset your emotional state when stress, overwhelm, or frustration arise. When you feel anxious, overwhelmed, irritated, or stuck in your thinking, your body is communicating something important. And the most rapid way to reset your emotional state is to reset your physical state first. Walk outside, shake out your arms, stretch your back deliberately. Breathe deeply with intention. Change your physical posture. Your emotional state follows your physical state with remarkable reliability. If you remain still while your mind spirals, the overwhelm grows and compounds. If you move your body, the overwhelm dissolves and perspective returns. Movement rewires your mindset because your mindset is not purely mental. It lives inside your nervous system, your energy levels, your breath patterns, your circulation, your physical posture, your muscle tension, and your overall vitality. Movement increases dopamine production in a healthy and sustainable way. It stabilizes serotonin. It reduces cortisol. It increases oxygen delivery to the brain. It stimulates neuroplasticity. It improves cognitive performance across every measurable dimension. It increases your emotional resilience and enhances your capacity for sustained motivation. You become someone who generates their own energy rather than waiting for it. Someone who takes genuine ownership of their physical state. Someone who feels clearer, sharper, calmer, and fundamentally stronger. Someone whose mind feels alive because their body is alive and engaged with the world. Movement becomes your anchor, your foundation, your reliable daily baseline. Move to think better. Say it when you feel tired. Say it when you feel stuck. Say it when you want clarity. Say it when your emotions become heavy. Move to think better. Move to feel better. Move to live with greater intention and aliveness. Your mind speaks continuously throughout every day, processing, evaluating, interpreting, and responding to everything you encounter. But most people never pause long enough to actually hear what their own mind is trying to tell them. They move relentlessly from task to task, from one thought to the next, from emotion to emotion, without ever genuinely stopping to observe what is happening inside their own inner world. They do not slow down enough to notice their fears, their patterns, their genuine desires, their deepest beliefs, or the stories they have been unconsciously telling themselves for years, sometimes decades. And because they never truly look inward with honesty, they remain strangers to themselves throughout their entire lives. This is precisely why journaling, even just a few intentional minutes of reflective writing each day, is one of the most powerful habits available for genuinely rewiring your mindset. Not because the act of writing itself is magical in some mysterious way, but because awareness is the absolute foundation of transformation. And journaling is the most direct and reliable path to genuine self-awareness that exists. You cannot change what you cannot clearly see. You cannot improve what you cannot honestly name. You cannot gain control over what you cannot understand at a fundamental level. Most people do not lack discipline in the way they believe. They lack clarity about their own inner world. Most people do not lack motivation in the way they feel they do. They lack the self-awareness to understand what is actually driving their behavior. Most people do not lack direction. They lack the ability to hear their own internal signals beneath the noise of daily life. Before we explore journaling as a daily practice, we must acknowledge the painful truth most people spend their lives avoiding. Most people live in chronic mental chaos. Their thoughts run at high speed, but without any meaningful structure. Their emotions spike quickly and powerfully, but without any real understanding of what triggered them. Their reactions feel completely automatic rather than consciously chosen. Their decisions feel impulsive rather than grounded in clarity. Their inner world feels loud, overwhelming, and utterly disorganized. They do not understand why specific things trigger them so reliably. They do not understand why they repeat the same fundamental mistakes in different situations. They do not understand why certain fears keep appearing, regardless of how much time passes. They do not understand why certain patterns keep cycling through their life without resolution. They do not understand why certain emotions keep returning, as if they were never truly processed. And they have accepted this ongoing confusion as a normal and unavoidable part of human experience. But this confusion is not inevitable. It is the result of unprocessed thoughts and unexamined emotions that have never been given a proper place to go. Your mind is not your enemy. Your mind is simply full of things you have never made the space or time to genuinely understand. When you do not pause regularly to reflect, your emotions drive your decisions rather than informing them. When you do not clarify your own thinking, your unexamined fears shape your choices without your conscious awareness. When you do not sort through your recurring patterns, your past continues to write your future without your permission. Journaling is not about writing poetically or impressively. You do not write to look insightful or to maintain perfect sentences. You do not write to record your day like a traditional diary. You write to understand yourself more honestly than you currently do. You write to observe your own thinking from a slight distance. You write to organize your inner world and create space between your emotional reactions and your conscious identity. Journaling is the fastest available method to see what your mind has been attempting to tell you through your behavior, your emotions, and your recurring patterns. Begin each journaling session by asking yourself 3 clarity questions that force your mind to slow down enough to examine itself honestly. You do not need lengthy sessions, complex prompts, or literary quality. Start with 3 questions asked and answered with genuine honesty. First, what am I currently avoiding? Avoidance always reveals something important. It reveals fear. It reveals an unresolved truth. It reveals a growth opportunity you are not yet ready to claim. Every time you honestly name what you are avoiding, you weaken its power over your choices. Second, what do I genuinely want right now? Your mind always knows its next authentic step, even when your life feels chaotic and directionless. Writing the desire down gives it concrete shape and clarity it previously lacked. Third, what do I need to release? Because carrying old fears, outdated stories, past mistakes, and obsolete versions of yourself forward is the most reliable way to remain permanently stuck. Letting go is not forgetting. It is freeing precious mental space for what genuinely matters now. Write without imposing judgment on what emerges. Most people struggle with journaling because they attempt to write correctly and impressively. They try to organize their thoughts like a formal essay. They try to achieve some standard of quality that makes the entire practice feel like another performance. But journaling is not literature. Journaling is structured honesty. Messy is completely acceptable. Chaotic is allowed. Incomplete is allowed. Emotional and contradictory is allowed. Raw and unpolished is not just permitted, it is the entire point. You are not writing to be read by others. You are writing to be genuinely understood by yourself. Your journal is the one place in your life where you do not need to perform or maintain any particular image. Keep it short, but absolutely consistent. You do not need 30 minutes of writing. You do not need multiple filled pages. You do not even require complete sentences. You need consistency above all else. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes at most. Enough time to check in with your actual mind rather than the performance of your mind. Enough time to organize your most pressing thoughts. Enough time to release the emotional weight you have been carrying since you last wrote. A brief daily reflection rewires your brain far more effectively than a lengthy session attempted occasionally. Consistency builds clarity. Clarity builds confidence. Confidence builds identity. Identity is what transforms your entire experience of life. Use the practice of writing to regulate your emotions when they become intense and overwhelming. When anxiety rises, when frustration builds, when sadness or overwhelm arrives, when fear appears, your first instinct will be to escape into distraction or to suppress the feeling entirely. But journaling offers a healthier and ultimately more powerful alternative. Place your emotions on the page. Not to suppress them, not to ignore their signal, not to fight them as though they were enemies, but to genuinely understand what they are communicating. When you write your feelings out clearly, they immediately begin losing their intensity. Emotions shrink when they are expressed with precision. Thoughts soften when they are placed in front of you on a page rather than continuing to swirl uncontrolled inside you. Review your journal entries once each week with honest curiosity rather than harsh judgment. Daily entries serve clarity in the immediate moment. Weekly reviews serve genuine transformation over time. Once each week, read through what you have written and look for recurring patterns with genuine openness. What emotions appear consistently across multiple entries? What fears echo the loudest through your words? What desires keep returning in different forms? What triggers appear again and again, regardless of the specific circumstances? Patterns reveal the true architecture of your mindset more accurately than any personality assessment or external analysis ever could. And when you see your patterns with genuine clarity, the change you need becomes easier, faster, and far more sustainable than you previously imagined possible. Journaling transforms what is unconscious into what is fully conscious. It converts mental noise into structured clarity. It turns chaos into something workable, emotion into genuine understanding, automatic reaction into conscious choice. When your mind processes its own experience through writing, it becomes less cluttered, more self-aware, more capable of making genuinely good decisions, and more trustworthy as a guide for your life. You become someone who understands themselves deeply and honestly. Someone who does not fear their own thoughts because they have learned to examine them with clarity. Someone who does not run from their emotions because they have developed the skill of processing them constructively. Someone who makes decisions consciously rather than impulsively. Someone who recognizes their patterns early enough to redirect them wisely. Someone grounded, aware, present, and genuinely steady in the face of whatever arises. Write to see clearly. Say it before you open your journal. Say it when your mind feels heavy. Say it when emotions rise. Write to see clearly. Write to understand yourself. Write to grow. Before we continue, this community does something meaningful to honor the courage it takes to look honestly inward. They drop the number 888 in the comments below. In quantum awareness and in this channel's tradition, 888 represents infinite flow, inner alignment, and the abundance that arrives when your mind and your authentic self are finally in honest conversation with each other. If journaling has the potential to unlock something real in you, leave 888 below and let this community witness your commitment to seeing yourself clearly. Your mind is the most powerful instrument you will ever possess. But like any instrument, it dulls through neglect and sharpens through deliberate, consistent use. Growth does not occur by accident or through passive existence. Strength does not arise through luck or favorable circumstances. Clarity does not appear through chance or wishful thinking. You become genuinely stronger because you consistently choose to feed your mind the right things, with intention, with consistency, with daily commitment. This is why learning one genuinely useful thing every single day is a habit that rewires your mindset at a depth that almost nothing else can match. It is small enough to practice consistently without feeling overwhelming. It is simple enough that it does not require elaborate setup or extensive time, but it is powerful enough to change your perspective, expand your confidence, deepen your thinking, and permanently alter your identity across months and years of committed practice. Learning is not fundamentally about collecting impressive amounts of information. It is about upgrading the actual operating system of your mind, how it processes experience, how it handles difficulty, how it interprets possibilities, how it responds to failure and uncertainty. Every genuinely useful thing you learn becomes a practical tool you can deploy in decision-making, problem-solving, emotional regulation, communication, discipline development, and ongoing personal growth. Before we build this daily practice, we must face the reality that keeps most people trapped in permanent stagnation. Most people effectively stop learning new things after their formal education ends. They move through life repeating the same thoughts, the same behavioral patterns, the same emotional reactions, the same fundamental mistakes, the same interpretations of the world and their place within it. Their minds grow chronologically older, but not genuinely wiser through experience. Their life experiences accumulate, but their actual understanding of those experiences does not deepen. They feel perpetually stuck because their thinking is stuck. They feel limited because their mindset has not grown to accommodate new possibilities. They feel unconfident because they have not given their mind anything meaningfully new to work with in years. And here is the real cost of ceasing to learn. When you stop feeding your mind new understanding, life becomes progressively heavier because your mind lacks the necessary tools to handle its new challenges effectively. Without learning, small problems feel disproportionately large and threatening. Without learning, fear grows faster than your capacity to address it. Without learning, your perspective on what is possible shrinks to fit your current limited experience. Without learning, you rely entirely on emotion rather than accumulated wisdom. Without learning, you continue repeating cycles that you could have escaped with the right understanding long ago. Your mind wants to grow. Your brain craves expansion, challenge, curiosity, stimulation, and insight. When you do not provide those things deliberately, your mind experiences a form of atrophy that manifests as boredom, restlessness, anxiety, and a vague but persistent sense that you are not living anywhere near your potential. But here is the truth that changes everything. You do not need hours of dedicated studying. You do not need complex academic content or formal instruction. You do not need a teacher, a course, or a structured curriculum. You only need one genuinely useful insight each day. One idea, one practical lesson, one applicable strategy, one perspective shift, one moment of genuine clarity. One useful thing absorbed daily will not change your life dramatically in a single week, but it will change your mind permanently across a year of consistent practice. Define for yourself what useful, genuinely means in the context of your own life and goals. Useful does not mean complicated or academically impressive. Useful simply means this. Does this help me think better, live more effectively, or become more of who I genuinely want to be? A useful insight can be a powerful mindset principle, a mental model for clearer thinking, a psychological insight about human behavior, a practical productivity approach, a life lesson extracted from someone else's experience, a financial understanding, a communication strategy that improves your relationships, a health insight, an emotional regulation tool, or even a single sentence that shifts your entire perspective on a problem you have been carrying. You are not learning for entertainment or to appear knowledgeable to others. You are learning for your own evolution. Once you genuinely understand that distinction, your mind becomes hungry again, but for the right things. Keep your daily learning session deliberately small and entirely sustainable. The reason most people fail to learn consistently is that they set unrealistic expectations that guarantee eventual failure. They decide to read for an hour each night, or take a comprehensive course this month, or study intensively on weekends. Then life becomes complex, motivation fluctuates, fatigue appears, and the habit dies before it ever truly took root. Small learning practiced consistently is infinitely more valuable than ambitious learning attempted sporadically. 5 pages of a meaningful book, 10 minutes of focused audio content, 1 short but high-quality video, 1 clearly defined idea written in your own words, 1 paragraph from a book that genuinely challenges your current thinking, 1 key insight from a mentor or teacher. Your brain does not require quantity. It requires the consistency that builds intellectual momentum, and that momentum eventually makes ongoing growth feel entirely effortless. Capture each day's insight in a simple tracking system of your choice. Learning without retention creates no lasting change. Learning without practical application creates no genuine transformation. Each day, record the one most useful thing you learned, just one, in a notebook, a digital document, or a dedicated notes application. A simple entry is sufficient. Today's insight, why it matters to my specific life, and where I will deliberately apply it. This process transforms raw information into genuine understanding, and understanding into the practical wisdom that actually changes how you live. This is how your mindset expands, not primarily through what you consume, but through what you consciously record, internalize, and actually apply to real situations. Connect every new learning directly to your actual life and its specific circumstances. The most important question you can ask yourself after learning anything is this: where in my life can I immediately use this? This single question transforms abstract knowledge into practical growth that you can feel and measure. Learn a communication approach? Use it in your very next conversation. Learn a mindset principle? Apply it during your next challenging moment. Learn a productivity technique? Test it tomorrow morning before anything else distracts you. Learn a financial insight? Implement it in your next budgeting decision. Learn an emotional tool? Use it the next time stress rises in your body. Your brain changes far more profoundly when you actively apply what you learn than when you merely read or listen passively. Build genuine curiosity as your primary driver rather than obligation or pressure. Do not transform learning into another heavy chore on an already demanding list. Transform it into genuine exploration of what interests and excites you. Follow your authentic curiosity wherever it leads. Dive into subjects that genuinely spark something in you. Let your learning shape your evolving identity rather than your performance for external validation. Curiosity makes learning genuinely enjoyable. Curiosity maintains the practice across months and years when discipline alone would falter. Curiosity rewires your mindset far faster than pressure and obligation ever could, because your brain loves novelty when it is chosen freely rather than forced upon it. Learning shifts the entire fundamental structure of your thinking over time. It sharpens your intelligence. It stabilizes your emotional responses. It builds genuine confidence. It expands your mental flexibility. It reduces anxiety by giving you more tools to handle what life presents. It widens your perspective so that problems feel smaller and more solvable. It deepens your understanding of yourself and everyone around you. It breaks the cycles that ignorance and confusion reliably create and sustain. Learning one genuinely useful thing every day increases neuroplasticity, improves memory function, boosts creative thinking, strengthens decision-making capacity, and enhances your ability to solve problems that previously felt beyond your reach. You do not become wise simply by aging. You become wise by deliberately learning from experience and from others who have walked paths ahead of you. And learning daily is precisely how you create a mind that is resilient, grounded, adaptable, and genuinely powerful in the face of whatever life presents. You become someone who values growth above comfort, someone who sees the world through curiosity rather than fear, someone who evolves intentionally every single day, someone who thinks with greater depth, clarity, and sophistication than yesterday, someone who has practical tools available when others only have confusion. Someone who responds to difficulty with accumulated wisdom rather than pure reactivity. Someone who outgrows their previous limitations with each passing month. Your identity becomes, I learn something genuinely useful every day. I grow every day. I evolve every day. When learning becomes genuinely who you are, improvement becomes your natural state rather than a forced effort. Learn daily. Say it every morning before you begin. Say it before you open a book or press play on meaningful content. Say it when your mind feels dull and stuck. Not for perfection or external validation, but for your own evolution and everything it will produce. Your energy is your life force. It is your mindset made physical. It is your discipline, your confidence, your focus, your emotional stability, your capacity to sustain effort and remain composed under pressure. Every dimension of your inner world depends directly on the current strength of your energy reserves. When your energy is genuinely high, life feels manageable and even expansive. Challenges appear smaller and more solvable. Progress feels entirely possible. Discipline feels natural rather than forced. But when your energy is persistently drained, everything becomes heavier and more difficult. Even tasks that are objectively simple feel overwhelming and beyond your capacity. Energy is not merely physical. Energy is emotional, mental, and deeply connected to the quality of your boundaries and daily choices. The habit of deliberately cutting what drains your energy is one of the most important and often most neglected steps available for genuinely rewiring your mindset. Because no matter how many positive habits you carefully construct, if your life remains full of hidden energy leaks, you will always feel tired, stuck, and running below your actual capacity. Most people are genuinely exhausted, but not primarily because they do too much. They are exhausted because they tolerate too much. They tolerate relationships that consistently drain rather than fuel them. They tolerate habits that gradually weaken rather than strengthen their foundation. They tolerate environments that suppress rather than support their clarity. They tolerate thoughts, obligations, noise, and digital bombardment that pull steadily from their reserves without giving anything meaningful in return. Your energy is being consumed by things you do not even truly like, need, or want to participate in. Not because your life is objectively hard, but because your personal boundaries are insufficiently developed. Not because you lack potential, but because you lack the protection that allows your potential to actually express itself. Not because you are tired, but because you are leaking energy in places that do not deserve even a fraction of what you are giving them. You genuinely cannot build a strong and powerful mind inside a life that is full of energy thieves draining you continuously. Here is the truth you must honestly accept. Your energy determines the quality of your thinking, and the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your entire life. When your energy is high and well protected, you think with genuine clarity. You respond to difficulty with calm rather than reactivity. You choose with wisdom. You move with intention. You maintain your discipline. You follow through on commitments. You feel genuinely grounded in who you are. When your energy is consistently low and unprotected, everything deteriorates. You overthink endlessly without reaching resolution. You react emotionally to things that would not otherwise disturb you. You avoid challenges that are actually well within your capability. You lose motivation for things that genuinely matter to you. You procrastinate on what is important. You doubt your own capacity and judgment. You feel overwhelmed by challenges that should feel manageable. Protecting your energy is not a luxury or a self-indulgence. It is an absolute necessity for building and sustaining a powerful and effective mindset. Begin by identifying your specific energy leaks with complete honesty. You cannot address what you cannot clearly see. Spend a few minutes writing honestly about everything that drains you, both large and small. Consider the people in your life who consistently leave you feeling anxious, tense, drained, or subtly diminished after interaction. Consider the habits that regularly steal your time, your focus, and your sense of peace. Consider the digital inputs, specific applications, notification patterns, or platforms that reliably leave your mind cluttered and your mood lowered. Consider the physical environments that weigh on you rather than support your clarity and energy. Consider the mental loops that keep you circling without resolution. Consider the obligations and responsibilities that no longer align with your genuine values or your most important goals. Be completely honest in this inventory. Awareness of what drains you is itself the first meaningful act of genuine self-respect. After identifying your leaks, begin removing 3 small ones immediately without elaborate preparation or debate. Small drains might include a group conversation that consistently creates anxiety, a cluttered corner of your living space that you walk past with a low-grade feeling of weight, a social media account that reliably triggers comparison and discouragement, an unused subscription still consuming your attention and resources, an obligation you agreed to that you no longer feel genuinely aligned with. A morning habit that steals your best energy before you have even properly begun your day. An application that consistently hijacks your attention away from what genuinely matters. Removing small drains builds momentum. Momentum builds clarity. Clarity builds genuine confidence. This is how you train your brain to expect alignment and natural ease rather than chronic exhaustion. Establish one non-negotiable personal boundary that you will genuinely honor regardless of social pressure or guilt. Boundaries are not fundamentally about controlling or managing other people. They are about honestly protecting yourself and your most valuable resources. Choose one specific area where you will stop draining your energy unnecessarily. Stop responding to messages the instant they arrive. Stop agreeing automatically to every request before checking whether it aligns with your priorities. Stop absorbing other people's emotional states as though they were your own responsibility to carry. Stop letting topics that do not serve your growth consume your mental bandwidth. Stop offering your time freely to everything and everyone without conscious evaluation. A boundary is simply a rule you create and honor to protect your inner world from unnecessary depletion. You do not need to explain it extensively to others. You do not need to defend it or justify its existence. You simply need to honor it consistently enough that it becomes your natural operating standard rather than an exception you make under ideal circumstances. Create for yourself a personal minimum energy standard, a set of clear commitments about how you will and will not allow your energy to be spent. I will not remain in conversations that consistently disrespect or diminish me. I will not invest my best time with people who habitually drain rather than contribute. I will not engage in unresolvable arguments that circle endlessly without leading anywhere productive. I will not participate in habits that reliably make me feel weaker and less capable. I will not spend extended time in environments that suppress my clarity and enthusiasm. This standard rewires your identity in a profound way. You stop perceiving yourself as someone who simply endures whatever comes. You begin perceiving yourself as someone who actively protects their mind and their energy as genuinely valuable resources deserving of care. Alongside removing what drains you, deliberately add daily energy sources that replenish and fuel you. Morning light exposure, intentional hydration, daily movement that activates your body, deep and conscious breathing practices, clean and organized physical spaces, time in nature, even briefly, genuine silence that allows your mind to process and settle, conversations that energize and expand rather than deplete and diminish, small wins acknowledged with honest satisfaction, content that genuinely inspires and teaches rather than numbs and distracts, earlier and more consistent sleep that honors your body's genuine needs. When you systematically remove drains and intentionally add genuine sources of fuel, your entire life begins to feel lighter, calmer, clearer, and more aligned with who you actually want to be. Your energy shapes your patience with difficulty, It shapes your ability to focus when focus is required. It determines your discipline when the easiest option is available. It colors your confidence in your own capacity. It influences your attitude toward challenge and uncertainty. It determines your productivity when results actually matter. It enhances or diminishes your emotional intelligence under pressure. It shapes your decision-making quality when outcomes are significant. High energy unlocks a stronger, more genuinely capable version of you. Low energy traps you in cycles you know intellectually you are capable of rising above, but cannot escape because you are too depleted to make the necessary moves. When you deliberately cut what drains your energy, you reclaim your power in a way that is immediately felt in every dimension of your life. Your clarity returns with surprising speed. Your discipline strengthens naturally. Your sense of your own worth increases. Your mindset shifts from a survival orientation to one of genuine strength and expansiveness. You stop allowing life to happen to you passively. You begin actively and intentionally designing it. You become someone who deeply values their time and energy as genuinely precious resources. Someone who chooses deliberate alignment over unconscious obligation. Someone who protects their peace rather than continuously sacrificing it for the comfort of others. Someone who surrounds themselves with people and environments that actively fuel rather than drain their capacity. Someone who refuses to carry unnecessary emotional weight that was never genuinely theirs to bear. Someone whose life feels lighter because their mind has been freed from unnecessary burden. Protect your energy, non-negotiable. Say it when you feel drained by external demands. Say it when pressure begins to build. Say it when you are about to say yes out of guilt or social obligation rather than genuine alignment. Say it when your boundaries are being tested. Protect your energy, always and without apology. Perfection is a trap that keeps people frozen and endlessly preparing, but never truly arriving. Consistency is freedom. Most people remain stuck in exactly the same place, not because they lack talent, intelligence, or genuine desire to grow, but because they have convinced themselves that they must perform perfectly in order for their growth to count or matter. They wait for the perfect moment that never quite arrives. They wait for the perfect routine that never quite comes together. They wait for the perfect energy, the perfect mindset, the perfect alignment of circumstances. And because perfection is a moving target that never actually arrives, progress never genuinely begins. This final habit exists as the capstone for a specific reason. Consistency is what permanently transforms everything you have built through all the previous habits into actual identity. All the practices you have learned in this training, intentional mornings, protected focus, deliberate discomfort, genuine completion, purposeful creation, daily movement, honest self-reflection, continuous learning, energy protection. They only genuinely reshape your life if you repeat them. Not flawlessly, not impressively, not in dramatic fashion, but consistently, reliably, without requiring perfect conditions. Most people brutally punish themselves for any inconsistency in their practice. They shame themselves fiercely for missing a single day. They quit entirely the moment they slip even briefly from their intended practice. They collapse and abandon everything when life inevitably interrupts their carefully planned routine. They treat growth as an all-or-nothing proposition, as if missing once means they have failed the entire endeavor permanently. And here is the painful reality that most people discover far too late. Perfection destroys more genuine potential and more meaningful dreams than failure ever will. Perfection kills momentum. Perfection kills hard-won confidence. Perfection kills the discipline that was slowly but surely developing. Perfection kills the joy that would have made the journey sustainable. You do not need to be perfect to build the life and the mind you genuinely want. You only need to keep returning. This is the truth that most people never fully internalize until they have wasted years in the cycle of all-or-nothing thinking. Consistency is exponentially more valuable than intensity, more powerful than momentary motivation, more transformative than talent, and more reliable than perfect timing. Consistency means showing up even when showing up is deeply inconvenient. Consistency means completing a smaller and simpler version of the habit on the days when full execution is not possible. Consistency means remaining genuinely flexible rather than becoming fragile and rigid. Consistency means staying connected to the practice even in its most minimal form. Consistency means forward movement even when that movement is impossibly slow and barely perceptible. You do not need perfect days. You need enough days. You need repeatable days. You need the kind of days that build identity through their accumulation, not through their individual impressiveness. Focus entirely on the minimum version of each habit rather than the ideal version. The minimum version is the simplest possible expression of the habit that you can honestly complete, even on your absolute worst day. 1 minute of intentional movement. 1 page of genuinely meaningful reading. A single honest sentence in your journal. 1 deliberate and conscious breath taken with full presence. 1 small, concrete action toward your most important goal. 1 thought caught and deliberately redirected. 1 focused block of 5 uninterrupted minutes applied to what matters most. When you significantly lower the entry point for each habit, you eliminate the primary source of resistance that prevents action. When you eliminate resistance, you eliminate the excuses that feel so convincing in the moment. When excuses lose their power, you build the momentum that changes everything. Your brain does not fundamentally need perfection to grow and change. Your brain needs connection, the continuous signal that says clearly and unmistakably, "We are still doing this. We have not abandoned this. We are still the person who does this." The minimum version keeps that connection alive across all the inevitable difficult days. Eliminate all or nothing thinking from your relationship with your own growth and development. This particular pattern of thinking destroys more genuine progress than any other single cognitive error. If I cannot do this fully and perfectly, I will not attempt it at all. If I missed one day of practice, I have already failed. If I was inconsistent this week, the entire habit is obviously not working for me. If I could not start perfectly, I probably should not start at all. These internal arguments are not honest assessments of reality. They are sophisticated psychological traps constructed by fear of genuine failure. Growth is never all or nothing in practice. Growth is always something or nothing, and something, no matter how small, will always produce better outcomes than nothing. The most genuinely powerful and successful people on earth are not perfect in their habits or their consistency. They are persistent. They return. They restart without drama. They continue in whatever form they can manage on any given day. Let your operating rule become simple and entirely non-negotiable. Never 2 days in a row of complete absence from a habit. You are allowed one missed day. Everyone has difficult days that genuinely make a habit impossible to practice. But 2 missed days consecutively begins to break the momentum that took so long to build. 3 missed days creates a narrative in your mind that you are no longer that person. The 2-day rule protects your progress without demanding perfection. It gives you genuine flexibility without sacrificing the discipline that matters. Track your consistency, not your performance quality or measurable results. Most people measure the wrong variables entirely. They track outcomes, intensity, results, and external evidence of progress. But results emerge slowly and unpredictably. Performance fluctuates based on countless variables outside your control. Outcomes are inherently uncertain. What matters most, the only thing that genuinely rewires your identity at the deepest level, is whether you showed up and made contact with the practice at all. Use a simple tracking system. A physical calendar with marked days. A notes application with consistent entries. A habit tracking tool that shows you your pattern visually. A journal with a single check mark per day. Mark every day you showed up in any form, no matter the size or quality of the showing up. The visual evidence of your consistency builds confidence in a way that nothing else can replicate. The pattern that emerges in your tracking becomes a story your brain tells about who you are, and that story becomes your identity. Forgive yourself immediately when you miss a day, and restart with complete decisiveness the very next moment. Guilt is not a motivator. It is an energy drain. Shame does not produce better future behavior. It produces paralysis and avoidance. Self-criticism does not accelerate progress. It slows it dramatically. You will miss days. You will slip back into old patterns temporarily. You will have weeks that feel like they undid everything you built. That is not failure. That is being a human being engaged in a long-term process of genuine change. The problem is never missing a day. The problem is quitting entirely because you missed a day and telling yourself that the miss is evidence of some fundamental inadequacy. So forgive yourself with speed and complete decisiveness. No extended drama, no days of self-recrimination, no spiraling into a narrative about who you are and what you are capable of. Your new rule is simple and powerful. Restart immediately. Restarting is itself a superpower. Restarting builds resilience at every repetition. Restarting is the habit within the habit that ultimately makes everything sustainable. Consistency rewires your brain because it redefines who you genuinely believe yourself to be at the deepest level. Every time you show up, especially on the days when every part of you wants to skip, to avoid, to delay until tomorrow, you teach your brain an irreplaceable lesson. I keep going. I do not disappear when things become difficult. I do not require perfect conditions to take action. I finish what I genuinely commit to starting. I can trust myself when it matters most. I am disciplined. I am becoming stronger and more capable every day that I practice. This identity becomes your new operating baseline, and once identity genuinely changes, behavior follows with remarkable ease and naturalness. You stop fighting yourself. You stop needing to rely on motivation that comes and goes. You simply do what you have trained yourself to be. Predictable forward progress. Compound results that accumulate silently and then appear suddenly as dramatic transformation. Your identity becomes your most reliable source of direction. You become someone genuinely unshakable in their commitment to their own growth. Someone who does not rely on fleeting motivation to take action. Someone who does not abandon their practice over minor setbacks or difficult stretches. Someone who adapts, adjusts, and continues forward regardless of what circumstances present. Someone who does not wait for perfect conditions, but works skillfully with what is actually available. Someone whose habits have become so deeply integrated that they are simply expressions of who they are, rather than efforts they must make. Someone completely reliable to themselves. And that is the most powerful identity any human being can genuinely possess. Do it daily. Not perfectly, not impressively, not dramatically or in a way that anyone else will necessarily notice. Just daily. Do it daily to progressively become the person you genuinely want to be. Do it daily to steadily build the mind you want to inhabit. Do it daily until consistency stops feeling like a discipline and becomes simply who you are. You have now received 10 habits, 10 anchors for a stronger and more intentional life. 10 practical tools that can reshape your inner world in ways most people never allow themselves to experience. But this journey deserves an honest and complete conclusion, a final message that ties everything together into something you can actually carry forward. You did not invest this time with Elite Success audiobooks simply to feel temporarily inspired or motivated. You came here because something genuine within you was ready for real and lasting change. Something in you wanted more clarity, more discipline, more genuine peace, more reliable strength, more actual power over your own mind and the direction of your life. Something inside you was done with cycling through patterns that no longer serve who you are becoming. Now you have the tools, 10 habits, 10 clear levers, 10 daily anchors for a stronger and more deliberate life. Each habit alone has the capacity to shift the direction of your mind. Practiced together with genuine consistency, they can reshape your entire identity in ways you cannot yet fully predict. But before you step into the next chapter of your life, there is one final truth you must hear with complete clarity and honest conviction. Nothing changes until you begin, and absolutely everything changes once you genuinely do. Transformation does not happen in massive, dramatic, visible moments that everyone around you can witness. It happens in quiet choices made when no one is watching, in consistent actions taken even when they feel tedious, in the small decisions you make every single morning when you could choose the easier path, in the habits you maintain when it is inconvenient and uncomfortable, in the standards you hold yourself to when no external accountability exists, in the discipline you build specifically in the moments when abandoning it would cost you nothing immediately visible. Your life does not rise simply because you want it to. It rises because you choose to build it, day after day, habit after habit, decision after decision. Every single day you are training your mind with intention, with genuine awareness, with deliberate discipline, with presence to what actually matters. And those daily trainings, those small and often invisible repetitions, are more than sufficient to permanently reshape the way you think, the way you feel, the way you respond to challenge, and the way you show up in every area of your life that matters. Think of the moments in your life when you felt genuinely strong, clear, and entirely capable of what was asked of you. Those moments did not come from luck or favorable circumstances or some mysterious alignment of external factors. They came from alignment, from the place where your actions, your values, and your identity converge. And alignment is something you can consciously and deliberately create, today, tomorrow, and every day that follows, one deliberate choice at a time. The habits you have received in this training are more than daily routines. They are identity tools. Each one teaches your mind something essential about who you are genuinely becoming. When you start your morning with intention, you teach your brain that you lead your own life. When you protect your focus deliberately, you teach your brain that you direct your own attention. When you do one hard thing daily, you teach your brain that discomfort equals growth and not danger. When you finish what you start, you teach your brain what genuine commitment looks like. When you create more than you consume, you teach your brain that you are a contributor, not merely a spectator. When you move your body every day, you teach your brain that you create your own energy. When you write honestly to understand yourself, you teach your brain that clarity is always available to you. When you learn one useful thing every day, you teach your brain that you never stop growing. When you protect your energy with genuine boundaries, you teach your brain that you respect your own worth. And when you stay consistent through the inevitable difficult days, you teach your brain the deepest and most important lesson of all. This is who I am now. This is precisely how genuine transformation happens. Not from wishing it into existence, not from consuming the right content or feeling the right feelings. From wiring, from the patient, consistent, daily rewiring of your neural pathways through repeated, deliberate action. You are not behind where you should be. You are not too late to begin or too old to change. You are not broken in some fundamental way that makes this impossible for you specifically. You are not permanently stuck in the patterns that have defined your life until today. You are simply early in the process of becoming someone new. And that is the most genuinely powerful position you can possibly occupy. At the beginning of a journey you have consciously and deliberately chosen to take. Before you close this training from Elite Success Audiobooks and step into what comes next, take one honest breath, a real one, drawn with full presence and intention. Feel your shoulders settle. Feel your mind grow quieter than it was when you began. Feel your energy return to you as you remember what you are genuinely capable of. Feel the truth settle deeply inside your chest. You are capable of far more than the life you have been tolerating up until now. These habits are not about achieving perfection in any dimension. They are about building alignment between who you are and who you know yourself to be at your best. They are about constructing the life you were genuinely meant to live, one deliberate and repeatable action at a time. And here is the final reminder that must stay with you beyond this moment. Transformation is not a single dramatic event. It is a choice you make repeatedly, in small moments, in quiet circumstances, in the decisions nobody else will ever witness or acknowledge. There will be days when you feel genuinely strong and capable and unstoppable. There will be days when you feel weak and depleted and tempted to abandon everything. There will be periods of rapid, visible progress and periods when movement feels imperceptible. But if you keep going, even slowly, even imperfectly, even in the minimum possible version of each habit, you will become someone who is genuinely unstoppable in the deepest sense of that word. Do not underestimate what your life can become in a single year of consistent, intentionally aligned effort. Do not underestimate what your mind can develop into with daily, deliberate intention. Do not underestimate what your identity can transform into when you consistently keep the promises you make to yourself. You have everything you need. You have the tools and the practical understanding of how to use them. You have the clarity about what is required. You have the path clearly laid out. And now you have the responsibility to yourself, to the person you are capable of becoming, to actually walk it. Take one habit, practice it today, then tomorrow, then the day after that. You do not need to master all 10 simultaneously. Start with one, build genuine momentum with that one, then add another when you are ready. Your new life does not begin when you finally feel ready for it. It begins when you actually begin. And beginning always happens in one specific moment, a moment exactly like this one. This is your reminder. You are not a passive character in your own story. drifting wherever circumstances carry you. You are the author, and you can rewrite absolutely everything from this point forward. The next chapter of your life has not been written yet, but your habits, practiced daily, consistently, with genuine intention, will determine every word of it. Step forward with intention. Step forward with clarity. Step forward with the quiet but unshakable strength that only comes from knowing who you are choosing to become. Your new mindset begins now, and it begins completely and entirely with you.